Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Silent Hill. You are here with Morris, and at the end of the last part, I had finished the game. So you might be wondering why there's even another video in this series. Well, as you all know, we got the bad ending, and after we finished, I was genuinely struck by how much it hit me. The reason for this is the only other time I've played this game all the way through was a few years ago, and back then I received a good ending and I could not for the life of me understand what I had done differently this time around. I was also watching the footage back when I was doing a few small edits. That damn sound glitch comes to mind, and I was annoyed with myself that I had played the game in the way that I did. You'll all know that when I do Let's Plays of games that I'm not very familiar with, I like them to be organic. I like to play as I would if I wasn't recording, and I enjoy seeing the outcome of that, and perhaps discussing certain points about the game in the comments. But this is the only time I've finished the series where I didn't feel satisfied with the outcome of it, and with my performance in it, and there's a couple of reasons behind that. The first is that Silent Hill is a game that I've praised very highly in the past for a host of reasons, and I wanted to record it in the first place because it has so much history, and some great features that I just don't feel you get in modern games. It's scary, the combat is difficult but fun, the story is partly open to interpretation, and the multiple endings and replay value actually add something to the gameplay as well as the player's knowledge of the Silent Hill universe. The second, and I guess the main reason, is that when I was researching the alternate endings, I came across a website called Silent Hill Memories, which gave what I thought when I was reading it a piercing description of what's necessary for achieving these other endings. I'm going to take a direct quote from the site to illustrate my point here. The good plus ending generally requires the player to be very active not only in terms of exploration and discovery, but also for the assurance of doing all that's possible. The player should play an active role in searching everywhere and in caring for the characters around them, one in particular. Now what I'm going to show you in this video first is the steps necessary to get this good plus ending, which I guess could be described also as the perfect ending to the game. It all starts when we are exploring the hospital for the first time and enter the kitchen. Now when we first went through this room, we skipped past some plastic bottles that were on the counter, and for me, even now, they still don't look like an item that can be picked up. But nonetheless, we can do, and we can use it to gather some of the strange red liquid that we found in a nearby room. Now this is not something that's ever pointed to in the game, nor is it signposted what to do with the liquid once you have it, only that it is labelled Mysterious Liquid, and let's just carry it around because who knows when that might come in handy. Then for a long time, nothing happens. It's when we reach the resort area of Silent Hill that the majority of the work is done. If you remember, this was the area I was complaining about for not having a map. Well, there is a map. I just completely ran past the damn thing and was too busy already looking for the next exit. But actually a side quest begins here in the resort area. If we head over to Annie's bar, we encounter Kaufman being attacked by one of those ape-men creatures. After rescuing him, he seems to dismiss us like back in the hospital and makes tracks fairly quickly. Something to hide, perhaps.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I guess so. But I'm beat. I thought I was a goner there. So how'd it go? Did you find a way out?
No, not yet. How about you?
Zip. But it's too soon to give up. This craziness can't go on forever. A military rescue squad should be here any time now. If they come through the town, we're home free.
I hope so.
I better get going. This isn't the time to stand around flapping our gums.
Do you know a girl called Alessa?
No.
If we investigate further, we find keys and clues to a potential drug trafficking operation occurring in Silent Hill, which, if you remember, Sybil foreshadowed earlier in the game, and I promptly shot her down. No pun intended. Eventually, we're led over to the motel where Kaufman was staying, and discover a motorbike with some strange substance in the gas tank. When we find this, Kaufman confronts us, and then, as is his custom, immediately takes off again. The interesting line here is afterwards when Harry says, "Looks like I wasted my time." Now this is a clever little line which I believe is designed to throw the player off into thinking they actually did waste their time, when in fact, this whole side quest is one of the components necessary to getting either of the good endings.
You shouldn't be hanging around here goofing off. What do you think you're doing? You want to get yourself killed? Get out of here.
Okay, take it easy.
Unless you want to die, keep your mind on business. Got it?
The final stage is during the fight with Sybil. The trick is to do enough damage to her for her to throw her gun away. Now I was surprised at this, and again if you remember, thought she had just run out of ammo for her gun, which is an easy mistake to make when you're already riddled with cop bullets. But this is actually the cue for us to be able to use the mysterious liquid that we collected from the hospital. Again, there is no indication whatsoever that this is what's required. We see in the following cutscene that Sybil was being controlled by some sort of parasite, and what follows from this is probably the most interesting piece of dialogue in the entire game, where Harry explains that he isn't actually Cheryl's father.
Sybil! Wake up! Snap out of it! Sybil!
Harry, what happened?
Shh, don't talk. I'll take care of you.
Harry, why did they take your daughter? Why her?
I'm not sure myself. But, you know, Cheryl isn't my biological daughter. I actually haven't told her yet. She probably already knows anyway, though. We found her abandoned on the side of the highway. Nobody knew where she came from. We didn't have any kids of our own. My wife was sick, and it didn't look like she was getting any better. So we took Cheryl in.
So in that case...
There might be some connection between Cheryl and this town.
So what do you do now?
Cheryl is my daughter. I will save her no matter what.
I feel as if this is one of the most important aspects to the entire story, as it begins to explain why Cheryl appears to be drawn to Silent Hill and her connection with the evil goings-on in the town. After the fight with Sybil, all of the gameplay up to the final boss remains the same. Explore the rooms, find the keys, open the door. The events of the cutscenes before the final boss, however, are a little different. First of all, Sybil appears to have arrived here just before Harry. She must know of a hidden side door or something that didn't involve getting every possible design for a key. Thanks for letting me know about that one, Sybil. After she gets thrown back, Kaufman then appears and confronts Dahlia with the strange liquid that he took from us. He uses it in an attempt to destroy the incubator, which is the boss we ended up fighting originally. But all this does is release the true form of the boss, the incubus.
Of that man, we must be thankful to him. Even though Alessa has been stopped, little girl has to go. What a pity.
Freeze! What in the devil's name? Ugh!
Dahlia.
Well, well, well. To think you'd make it this far.
Where's Cheryl? What have you done to her?
What are you talking about? You've seen her many times, restored to her former self.
I'm in no mood for jokes.
Don't you see? She's right there.
That's absurd.
You are the only one who thinks so.
Why? Why are you doing this?
It's been a long 7 years. For the 7 years since that terrible day, Alessa has been kept alive, suffering a fate worse than death. Alessa has been trapped in an endless nightmare from which she never awakens. He has been nurtured by that nightmare, waiting for the day to be born. That day has finally come. The time is nigh. Everyone will be released from pain and suffering. Our salvation is at hand. This is the day of reckoning, when all our sorrows will be washed away. When we return to the true paradise, my daughter will be the mother of God.
Quit screwing around. Return things to how they were before.
Kaufman!
Did I ask for this? Nobody uses me. You won't get away with this.
Your role is over. We don't need you anymore. What do you think you can accomplish by coming here?
My, aren't we getting cocky? Bet you can't see this.
Glavitus! I thought I got rid of that!
All I had to do was plant it somewhere for you to find. You all, well, kept you busy. Ha! You're easy. And there's more where this came from.
Stop it!
Huh? What the?
That's not supposed to.
boss fight itself isn't actually that different. Being old PS1 horror, the best tactic is to just stand there and wail on the creature until it goes down. The only noticeable difference here is this guy shoots red lightning instead of blue, which I would guess signifies that this one is the real evil of the game. Anyway, after it goes down, we get the real ending.
Daddy.
So, what was the point of showing you that ending? Why make the extra video? Well, the reason is that after switching off the recorder, I began to wonder how much have I changed as a player to go from good ending to bad ending in the last few years. That quote from earlier about exploration and caring for the characters was pretty damning about my state of mind. The real problem was failing to spot the map in the resort area. You might say, if we don't have this map, how can we really explore this section of Silent Hill? After all, it is dark, and at this stage, even the regular enemies are fairly powerful. I'd say that's a fair comment, but I think the fact I was so focused on getting out of there says a lot about me as a player now. A few years ago, I would have stopped to check the whole area regardless for items or secrets. We actually did find a combination lock and essentially ignored it without investigating any further. It feels as if I've been conditioned over the past few years to be told what my objective is and not even consider anything else until it's done. This is another reason why the ending got to me so much. I felt like I was being punished, and rightly so, for treating Silent Hill just like another game, just a simple A to B mission, which it's not. I had the handicap of playing through once before, and so I knew roughly where the main areas were, but anyone playing for the first time has no choice but to explore every room, every alleyway, every optional area, and knowing this, I should have approached the game in exactly the same way. So why didn't I? Was it because I knew the mic was on? Maybe. I'm always conscious of the fact I need to make progress when I record, but I really steamrolled through this game. I mean, we didn't even die once. I just ran through everything. I mean, fuck, even when I played through the game again to record the good plus ending, I still died despite having more ammo, more health, and already knowing where everything was. I guess I found the whole experience interesting in terms of player mindset. Silent Hill does a lot to get inside the player's head. A perfect example is when you're navigating through the hospital for the first time. When you reach the elevator, you're forced to go up each floor. And when you reach the third floor and have found nothing but locked doors, you decide to go back in the elevator and suddenly there's an option to go to a hidden fourth floor. Now this all happens naturally. The developers knew that by this point the player had been taught back in the school to explore every room almost systematically. So they knew this situation would occur without having to tell you. The camera doesn't pan back towards the elevator and Harry doesn't state some mind-numbing phrase like, "Guess I better check out that elevator again for hidden buttons that lead to progress." When a game understands how a player thinks, then it has the ability to set up this type of situation, and especially in a horror game, this can be a very powerful tool. Consider the sound design. All the way through the game, the music and the ambient noise change, particularly when progress is being made, like unlocking a door or a new area. Coinciding the sound with progress makes the player think that something bad is happening as a consequence of their actions. It helps to create this unbreaking tension throughout the whole experience, helps to create that feeling of dread that I talked about in the first 2 episodes, a feeling that the town itself is against you and closing in around you. It's not as much about what's happening as what the player believes to be happening. And this creates a sense of urgency when the player is making their way through the different areas of Silent Hill. This could help to explain why I decided to bomb through the whole game. Maybe I've just become a lightweight when it comes to horror. I honestly don't know, but I do think it's an interesting point nonetheless. What I'm really interested in now though is what are your thoughts on Silent Hill as a whole now that you've seen different outcomes to the game. I mentioned in the final part that it's a discussion point whether or not true horror games should even have good endings. I mean, how do you feel about this? The fact that the bad ending led me to even making this video is testament to how something like that made me feel. Horror should definitely leave you with a lasting feeling of the experience, and shooting the bad guys and finishing with this image of a happy family unit doesn't really achieve that. If you played this game yourself, either recently or maybe way back when it first came out, what ending did you get? And do you think that ending says anything about you as a player? Should games try to implement this ending system rather than just color coding good and bad, as seems to be the industry standard these days? When we'll get to Silent Hill 2, I don't know. I've got a lot on right now and I don't want to make promises that I can't keep. But it'll certainly be interesting to see how I handle that game and whether or not my experience with this one will affect the playthrough. It might seem as though I'm being negative about this LP, but I want to clarify that I had a great time making it. This one has probably made me think more about a game than any other I've ever done. I want to apologize again for the delay in getting it uploaded, but I hope it was all worth it. And I want to thank every one of you once again for watching and all the likes, the comments, the favorites, and everything else that comes with the channel. It means a lot to me that you would continue to take the time out of your day to enjoy some games with me, and I just hope that I can continue to make some entertaining content for you guys in the future. For now though, ladies and gents, have a fantastic day, and I will see you in a little while. See you later.